This is Carolyn Greiner, a materials engineer, and physicist Ann Whitaker. The place is NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. Both hope to be among this country's first women to travel into space. They, like several others, have been practicing, simulating space work on the ground. Diving into a tank filled with 1.5 million gallons of water is just one example. It was here that astronauts trained for Skylab, and it's here that training for Spacelab, a cooperative venture between NASA and the European Space Agency, is underway. Spacelab will fit into the payload section of the airplane-like shuttle now being built for missions beginning in 1980. Carolyn Greiner describes the underwater work.
And what we get out of working in the neutral buoyancy simulator is the handling of experiment packages, of experiment hardware, in something that closely approximates the zero-gravity environment. It is not the same because the drag of the water, that is the resistance of the water itself to the motion of a piece of equipment in the neutral buoyancy facility, is somewhat different than that you would feel in zero-G. If you pushed a box across the capsule in zero-G, it would just keep going unimpeded. There's no real resistance there to stop it. However, as you know, if you push something in water, it'll go a certain distance and it will tumble and start falling. There is a difference there. The handling of equipment is very much similar to that in zero-G. You start something turning, it'll tend to keep turning. So we're trying to develop our experiment hardware so that it is easy to handle in zero-G, that the kind of manipulations that we want done to be able to get our experimental results can be accomplished with our hardware.
This particular training is oriented towards people who will actually be on board Spacelab, and so as a consequence of that, they definitely need this type of training. They need to know how well they can work with their experimental equipment in low G, and of course this is the basic training for that.
This jet plane is also being used to help prepare women for spaceflight. After reaching altitude, the big jet is pulled up to a 45-degree angle, and then the pilot pushes over, causing a period of weightlessness for about 30 seconds. The short-duration zero-G tests allow future space travelers to become accustomed to weightlessness and also to practice experiments without gravity. At NASA's Ames Research Center near San Francisco, 12 nurses went through 5 weeks of medical tests to help set standards for non-astronaut passengers on the space shuttle and to investigate responses to spaceflight conditions.
Go. 3, 2, 1, go.
For example, the low acceleration forces experienced during long-duration shuttle re-entry into the atmosphere were simulated on a centrifuge. Women in space. With the space shuttle moving from the design stage to production, women are expected to play a major role in this country's future flights beyond Earth.